Good morning, folks. We've got solar wind, plasma filaments, climate news, a look at weather, severe storm warnings, and a new perspective on magnetism at Mercury with comparisons to the rest of the planets. But we kick off, as always, over at spaceweathernews.com. It was indeed another day with an SDO correction necessary. HelioViewer does as best it can at stabilizing the frames, and we can tell that nothing but surface pops were taking place in the Earth-facing portion of the Sun. You may have noticed in the opening sequence that the solar tornado we first saw yesterday is lifting and beginning to erupt as we speak this morning. This is after a small filament released just ahead of it on the Earth-facing northern latitudes. Zooming in to see it again there, neither of those eruptions are coming this way. Solar flaring remains low as the sunspots survive their cross of Earth-facing territory, but development has been absent as there is just too much separation between umbra of opposing polarity. Connections are locked up nicely between them, but there's just too much daylight to expect any jostling for space. Meanwhile, the solar wind got fun. See the purple, particle speed, rising sharply after the brief bulge in density. That's a signature coronal hole telemetry. Despite being somewhat intense, the magnetism has not presented a significant change in angle or character, so we've just taken KP4 instability thus far. No storms. The culprit, of course, is the large coronal hole now departing our view. Solar wind arriving here now was released from there 3 to 4 days ago, and we're already eyeing the next one. Up next, we're at Mercury, learning how Messenger went through its magnetopause and bow shock, taking readings and characterizing the local global field, and also allowing for a comparison with other spheres in our system. Only thing left to be desired in there is being able to see the powerful northern pole of Saturn, somewhat blocked out here. Up next, it's the Global Climate Report for 2016. Again, this is the map you see being posted around the internet. Percentiles is not only a misleading way of looking at the world, but it is biased towards heat. They do always put out the real map as well, but no one uses it. It's the one you should be using, and it's never as convincing looking as the first one for the intended propaganda. In that line of thinking, Siberia took record cold while the Arctic was record warm a few weeks ago, but now it's Alaska's turn. February appears ready to hand that off to the continental United States. Luckily, that's not happening today, but unluckily, that central convergence will pull major storms tonight as the next system heads to soak the west coast. Eyes open in the south. In Europe, a high-pressure Earth spot is clearing much of the central regions of rain while the coastal zones are taking the convergence's rainfall and or snow. One Earth spot leaves New Zealand, while another slams his way through southern Australia, dragging his convergence to the northwest. Flood and wind risks are high for this affected area. Folks, we've got 78 days till observing the frontier. Dr. Robitaille from Ohio State, Dr. Dunning from Caltech and Industry, Dr. Claridge from Sapphire, Talbot from the Thunderbolts, Bagashoff, Rango, and myself. You see, we all have sad, lonely hands that need lots of shaking from you guys so we don't go through the spring depressed. We've got a new deeper look over at suspiciousobservers.org for website members. We do greatly appreciate all of your support. We've got Asia, Africa, and South America on the wind map, followed by shots of our star to close. It's 4:55 a.m. in the new Valley of the Sun. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.